All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, in the early stages of this NFL season, the Green Bay Packers have done what they have needed to do, which was to win games and hold serve. I say this because the Packers had the luxury of having their first two games of the season at Lambeau, and of course, they were able to win both. And in doing so, Green Bay defeated a pair of teams in the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders, who both made the postseason a year ago. This is very important, and I cannot understate this for the Packers. Why? Because they only went 2-5 last season against teams that made the postseason. But here, in the early stages of this year, things appear to be different for Green Bay so far. Now, in defeating both the Lions and the Commanders, the Packers' defense put the clamps on two of the best offenses in the NFL from a year ago. Green Bay so far has given up a combined 24 points to Detroit and Washington while holding both of them under 250 yards of total offense. Now, how do you factor that into what I'm saying? Last year, the Lions averaged more than 409 yards per game, as well as 33 points, while the Commanders had 369 yards and 28 and a half points per game. Okay. The acquisition, and I said it was going to be big when it happened, but the acquisition of edge rusher Micah Parsons is a game changer in more ways than one. You have the ability of Parsons to get to the quarterback. And that ability is making it easier for his teammates in Green Bay to get to the quarterback. The Packers, so far as a team through two games, have 8 sacks. Why do I say that? Because a guy like Michael Parsons is going to consistently be double teamed. Okay. And if you have a guy who's consistently doubled, that's going to free things up for a lot of other guys. And the bottom line is Micah Parsons is an elite edge rusher. Okay, he has a lot of strength, he has a lot of speed, and he's one of those guys who knows how to play with tremendous lean. And like I said before, it's going to open up things for his Packer teammates. This Packer defense, okay, has been getting opposing offenses off of the field and giving the football back to Jordan Love and Green Bay's offense. And subsequently, the Packers are doing something that they didn't do a year ago against the good teams, and that's playing with a lead, okay, and it makes a difference. And if you're Green Bay, you cannot. I said this before, and I'll say it again. You cannot underscore the importance of having Micah Parsons out there because he is a disruptor, and it's going to make life easier for everybody on this Green Bay defense, even in the secondary. Now, overall, what I've seen so far from the Packers in comparison to last year, and I know it's just two games, but I feel like Green Bay is playing with more of a sense of urgency than they did a year ago. And I say this because the Packers went 11-6 during the regular season, which is good enough to win a division title in the NFL in most years. But of course, last year we saw the Vikings go 14-3. They didn't even win the division. It was the Detroit Lions who went 15-2. So of course, if you win your division, you're guaranteed at least one home game in the postseason. And of course, it's not a guarantee that if the Packers were to win the North, that they would win at home because that mystique in January of Lambeau is not the same for Green Bay currently as it was in the days of Vince Lombardi. However, you still have to go to Lambeau in January. Not a lot of teams around the NFL are going to be lining up for that, especially at the rate that we're talking about more teams having indoor stadiums. Okay. But nonetheless, there's still plenty of football ahead of us. I totally get it. Green Bay still has 15 games to go. But so far, Green Bay has made a statement in the NFC, not just under the fact that they're 2-0. It's how they've gone about doing it. The offense has been solid, but then you cannot say enough about their defense. This past Thursday night against Washington, and we know the dynamics that Jaden Daniels brings to the table as a quarterback, not only as a thrower of the football, but also his ability to run. They held him to 17 yards on 7 carries. He was also sacked 4 times. And honestly, you want to add a larger number to that because of the amount of times that this Packers front was able to harass a Jaden Daniels. And again, getting back to the acquisition of Micah Parsons, you look at it, a lot of the pressure that Green Bay has been putting on has just been with their front four. And if you go back to last year's Super Bowl when Philadelphia dominated Kansas City, all of their pressure was coming with the front four. So, of course, if you are a defense and you can just put that or create the pressure with your front four, it makes the job easier of your back seven. And of course, your linebackers are able to drop back further into coverage. And of course, the safeties are able to drop way back down the field. The corners are going to be more confident. The corners are going to be more active as far as trying to pick the ball off. You name it. So these things are important. And then, like I said before, what they did to the Detroit Lions in shutting them down as well. So, and pardon me for 1 second. I said 24 points. It was 31 points. The Lions did score a late touchdown in that game. Please forgive me for saying that earlier, but nonetheless, it's still a scenario where Green Bay held them under um, 250 yards. And of course, it was a late touchdown for the Lions in that one when the game was out of reach. But like I said, still, nonetheless, emphatic statement so far this season by this Green Bay's defense. Now, when it's all said and done, of course, the Packers, like I said, they held serve at home. 4 out of their next 5 are at home. And of course, you have that additional break if you're Green Bay being that you played on Thursday night, you played at home, you did it early in the season, of course, okay, and now you got an opportunity to go get prepared for Cleveland, and then of course, in week number 4, Micah Parsons returning to Dallas. There's going to be a big buzz around that game. But I'm looking at, like I said before, 4 out of the next 5 are at home for Green Bay, or on the road rather. At Cleveland, at Dallas, they're home for Cincinnati, they're at Arizona, and then they're at Pittsburgh. This is the opportunity, if you're the Packers, to really go out there and make some hay this season. And I think as they play with that urgency, if they can keep playing with the urgency like we've seen in the first 2 games, Green Bay is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC. We heard the Packer fans on Thursday night chanting, "Thank you, Jerry." Okay, and of course, like in mention to Dallas Cowboys team owner Jerry Jones. I said it at the time of the trade. You simply don't give up a guy like Micah Parsons. You definitely don't trade him within your conference. And the draft compensation that Dallas received from Green Bay for this is not going to equate to the production that you just gave up. This Christmas just basically came early for the Green Bay Packers, and I think this defense has the opportunity to do some very big things for this season. Like I said, Green Bay has made a statement so far, 31 points in 2 games to two of the better offenses from last year in the NFC. Like I said earlier, I made the mistake. I said 24 points through the first 2 games. It's actually 31. But nonetheless, I really like Green Bay's chances to go out there and be a force to be reckoned with. You already have one of the best edge rushers in the NFL of Micah Parsons. I think, Green Bay paid him clearly, but I still think he's going to go out there and he is playing with a chip on his shoulder because he's got something to prove. He's pissed off because Dallas did allow him to leave town and Dallas didn't get this deal done. But nonetheless, Dallas is garbage, is Green Bay's fortune. Nonetheless, I think Micah Parsons and this unit can do some very big things. And if the Packers defensively can continue to play like what we've seen in the first 2 games of this season, I feel sorry for a lot of quarterbacks around the NFC this season. That's just the way it is. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X formerly known as Twitter. You can check us out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, I'll give you that follow in return. And the same can be said for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, definitely check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.